Listen up. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast belong solely to the podcast participants, and not to any participant's employer, organization, committee, or other group or individual. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. You know, for fun. So lighten up and enjoy. It is the sound of chimpanzees. It can only mean one thing, Stomping Jen.
It's a Soft Serve podcast.
We're here for another episode of the Soft Serve podcast.
That's right.
And I, for one, am very excited for our guests this evening. We have two of them.
Two plus one.
Oh, right. Yes. So we have from the Belchertown Community Alliance, April Jasak Bangs, Sarah Maroney, and the young Padawan from our Star Wars special returns.
That's right.
So we may hear the young Padawan cooing and crying and gurgling. Be not alarmed.
Right.
This is the young Padawan's second appearance on the Soft Serve podcast. So the Padawan is always welcome.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Are we ready to dive in?
We're ready.
All right.
Let's do it.
The Soft Serve Podcast. Creamy, delicious ideas without the creepy truck. Oh, Stomping Jen.
We did that already, didn't we?
We did?
I don't know.
Oh, all right. Well, I like to do that. I'll
I
do
know
that
you do.
all day
You like to
long.
sing to me.
I do. Something about you that makes me want to sing. Well,
All right.
welcome to the Soft Serve Podcast. Who am I?
You're Sawtooth, Frank.
Right. I'm one of the co-hosts. You're Stomping Jen. You're the other co-host. And we have with us on the show this week April Jasak Bangs and Sarah Maroney from the Belchertown Community Alliance. So let's say hello. We'll go to April first. Say hello, April.
Hello. Thank you for having us this week.
Yeah, thank you for coming on to talk to us. We've been pushing out a lot of Belchertown content lately. That's the town we live in.
That's right.
Right? So,
That's right. It's our community.
And I'm really excited to talk about this. But before we do, we also have to say hello to Sarah Maroney. Say hi, Sarah.
Hello.
And hello to the young Padawan, who I see you bouncing vigorously upon your shoulder.
The young Padawan is making a lot of noise right now.
Okay, so feel free to go on and off mute as you desire, but we're happy to have you and the Padawan here with us.
The young Padawan is very excited for his second appearance on the show.
And I do think I saw TK413 creeping around somewhere in the background there, so if he comes through, make sure you say hi for us. What we'd like to do is have you both tell us just a little bit more about yourselves, if you can, to the extent you want to tell us about yourselves. Right, Stomping Jen?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And their relationship to the Belchertown Community Alliance.
Thank you.
All
Yes, that would be great. So why don't we go to, we'll go to Sarah first. Whoops, sorry. I thought you were unmuted.
I'm going to mute and unmute now.
Yep.
So I'm one of the co-founders in the Cultural Alliance.
Which we renamed.
Confusing. We already messed it up.
We already messed it up. Oh man.
It was gonna happen.
This is gonna happen all night. Yeah. So the co-founders for the now Community Alliance. And I was born and raised in Belchertown, so it means a lot to be part of this group, and really kind of we'll dive in on what we're really doing. But I met Jen and April after moving back to town and jumping into the Belchertown Cultural Council, which did a lot of fun things in town. And after meeting them and ended up morphing into starting up the Community Alliance and now being on podcast and doing a lot of really neat projects that we'll dive into. So, and I'm also a recent small business owner in town. So it's all coming full circle and it's really neat.
And I will say, to that effect, we're going to have you on, I think, in the next couple of weeks to talk about your small business. So we're really excited to talk about that. We'll leave it a surprise, though, what it's going to be. So
I hope you have samples for that show to enjoy while you're talking about it.
Oh,
yeah, that'll just be a teaser. We'll just describe the samples on it.
Thank you, April. That is a great idea, actually.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm here all night.
I am open for some quid pro quo when it comes to podcast appearances. So, all right, April, tell us a little bit about yourself, if you would, please.
Sure. Like Sawtooth Frank said, my name is April Jazak Bangs. My husband and I moved to town, I think it's been 6 years ago now. And within the first 1 or 2 years, I was introduced to Stomping Jen, who sort of took over all of my free time since then. I'm a small business owner in town. I own a photography studio. April Eve Images. And then I, along with Sarah, was a co-founder of the Belchertown Community Alliance, and I'm currently the board president there. Have 2 kids and a really cute dog and an awesome husband.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now give her a little cheer.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Stomping Jen.
I was going to say, where's my cheer?
I was going to hit it.
I also feel like I need a fancy podcast name. I don't know about that. I mean, I have a roller derby name. I mean,
you have a roller derby name? What's your roller derby name?
Apes of Wrath.
Oh,
Apes of Wrath.
That's great.
I love that.
That is amazing.
We have a friend who did roller derby, although I don't know if they would want me to say who they are on the podcast, so I want to be careful. But anyways, this is for roller derby. Okay, so some questions for you both, and you can answer this in any way you want, I think. So how did the Belchertown Community Alliance come about? But I think first, before we do that, can you tell us what it is, the BCA, the Belchertown Community Alliance? What is it?
That's a great question. So I'll read you our mission statement because I think that best really describes who we are and what we're doing. And we literally just spent a lot of time redoing it, along with renaming ourselves. Like Sarah had mentioned earlier, we used to be the Belchertown Cultural Alliance, but we kept getting confused with the Cultural Council. So like literally every time we had to explain that we were different than the Cultural Council, which is a municipality appointed committee in town. We're a separate nonprofit and sort of have different goals that sometimes overlap and stuff. But yes, let me read you our new mission statement. It's the mission of Belchertown Community Alliance is to enrich Belchertown, Mass through repurposing underutilized landscapes to provide accessible space for artistic, technical, and educational pursuits for everyone. As part of our mission, we're striving to reach those in our community most impacted by oppression and marginalization. We seek to acknowledge and preserve Belchertown's history through engaging in restorative justice practices and community inclusion. And we hope to engage with our community in long-lasting and meaningful ways by facilitating the productive exchange of ideas and creating an atmosphere of compassion and acceptance. So I know that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Basically, what we do is we're a community nonprofit who's focused on reutilizing or revitalizing underutilized spaces in town. So buildings that have been ignored for quite a long time, or landscapes who have also maybe that our residents aren't aware of and could use in a multiple different amounts of ways, but we're specifically focused on cultural and community building experiences.
I like that, and I like a lot of elements about your mission statement, and I actually have some specific questions for you about them a little bit later. And I think what I want to dig into, right, is how this came together, right? How did the
You mean
Belchertown
the history?
how did the Belchertown Community Alliance start? You know, I have these three amazing people sitting here in front of me. Stomping Jen, you're one of them. And how did this organization come about? Like, what? Just tell us a little bit about that.
I'm totally blaming Stomping Jen for the entire thing. Let's be honest.
All right. Do you want me to talk about it?
Yeah,
The
why
floor
don't
is
you
open.
start?
So-
It started with you.
It did start with me. I will, in full disclosure, it is all my fault. However, because of the way things shook out, I'm not on the board and I'm not really involved in the day-to-day operations of it.
Of the nonprofit BCA.
Profit
Right.
BCA, correct. So let's see how quickly I can get to the point. So as somebody mentioned, I was involved with the Cultural Council and I was the chair of the Cultural Council. But really the push and the impetus behind putting this concept for community space together was really because through the Cultural Council, one of the missions is to bring art to the community, and there wasn't any venue space to showcase art in town. So one of the things that I started doing was looking at potential buildings and venues that were available in town that could be utilized for that purpose. Mm-hmm. And there's quite a number of old defunct buildings or buildings that are just sitting empty around town that could be activated if they had some money put behind it. And then, so what we discovered was that there was a lot of grant programming out there for nonprofits. But some of the buildings that we were interested in were owned by the town.
Okay.
So they're town-owned buildings that have become sort of some of the focus of what the BCA is now working towards and some of the projects that they're working towards. So in the process of it, April and Sarah both joined the Cultural Council. Mm-hmm. And because we're all three of us small business owners and entrepreneurs in the area, we all saw the kind of the opportunity for this collaborative nature of art and community and workshopping and education and makerspace. And we started bringing together other people in the community that were doing things in different areas, like from the historical perspective, like we on the podcast talked to Kate Benson of the Belchertown State School Friends a couple months ago.
Yeah, episode 97, by the way.
Oh, you pulled it
Yeah,
up.
and
Great.
there's a link to that show.
Yeah.
There's a link to that show in our show notes.
Right.
Yep.
So we pulled in Kate with her work from the state school because some of the properties that the BCA was interested in are adjacent to the state school or were used to be part of the state school property. We brought in people from the school side, people who work with special needs students who work towards vocational opportunities for their students, and they were looking for opportunities in town because there aren't a lot of it. There's an organization called Community Options in town, which does similar work with more adults, so they're not in the school system. They're graduated from those types of programs. So they're involved with the BCA. So we brought together all of these different component pieces to kind of bring it into a cohesive organization that could help reach all of these types of individuals, you know, do some maker space, do some community kitchen work.
And you formed this as a nonprofit, right? So why did you form this entity as a nonprofit versus like a committee or something, or just like a more loosely organized group of volunteers?
Right. It's really hard to try to get funding if you don't have any, you know, any like... What's the word I'm looking for? you need some clout. You need some leverage. You need like to be an entity. You can't just be like, hey, I want to work on this thing.
Or like literally a place to put money, right? And track it.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think
everything.
Yeah. And originally it was like, you know, there was all of our membership from the Cultural Council that was interested in this concept, but that is not the purpose of the Cultural Council. So it became very clear that the two organizations or the people that were interested in working on this type of activity needed to leave the Cultural Council in order to work on this exclusively.
Okay.
All right, I talked enough about the BCA.
Well, to add on to that, like there's another reason. A lot of grants, you are only available to 501c3s, nonprofit organizations, and if you're a municipality committee, you're discluded from some of those. But partnering with the town, we've been able to apply from both the municipality standpoint for grant for funding to bring these projects to fruition, as well as grant opportunities that are only available to nonprofit organizations.
Right.
Yep. So it's literally a bunch of people in town coming together and saying, we want to accomplish this thing, that you've all done a really great job describing what that thing is. And the best way to do that is to form this nonprofit. When you decide to do that, is that a hard thing to do? Walk me through that a little bit.
So it was a crash course for all of us, to be quite honest with you. None of us had a lot of experience serving on any boards or creating nonprofits, but I'll tell you that the paperwork part of it was probably the easiest part. And Sarah can talk to that more than I can. It's the other piece of forming a board and forming expectations for people on the boards and things like that, and putting into words your vision and what we all are working towards. That is the most difficult, for sure. Hence the reason that we started off as the Belchertown Cultural Alliance. We're really bad at naming things. That we had to end up changing our name to the Community Alliance. One, because it fit our mission better, and two, so we would stop getting confused with the Cultural Council.
And I just want to add to the nonprofit pieces. People there seems to be a misconception sometimes about nonprofits not being a real business. And it is at the end of the day. Whereas filing the paperwork, like April said, was easy. I just went on the website and you just file paperwork and congratulations, you're a nonprofit. And then it's the business piece of it where you still need to make sure that you're called a nonprofit, but you still need to pull in profits. You still need to create a strong business structure to make it really viable, go forward and move and thrive. Yeah. And then the difference, it's almost harder than a normal typical business that you'd walk into, because typically you just have a business plan. With the nonprofit, you have bylaws, and then you have board responsibilities. You have things that they have to hold. Then you have volunteer members, and there's items that they have to fall under. So as we've dug into it through this amazing crash course over the past year and a half, it's really intricate what goes into the layers of a nonprofit.
Yeah. And I imagine getting that going must in some ways complicate doing the work that you want to do as a nonprofit, right? Like what I'm saying is,
The
it seems like
business of forming.
it seems
the
like there's a lot of
nonprofit.
administration that you had to do and probably are still dealing with, right?
Yeah.
That go along with getting this in place so you can do these wonderful things that you want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1000%. It's been a crazy. So we formed a year and a half ago, and it feels like 15 years at this point. But we've learned a lot and have put into place a lot of the structure that the nonprofit needed to thrive. And it was sort of the piece that, I mean, for me, speaking for myself, it was the piece that I was not anticipating at all. I was not anticipating the bylaws and the board responsibilities and everything that comes with that. I was purely focused on our one specific community hub project at first. And it took a lot of like retraining my thought process to realize that a big piece of what we want to do is engage the community as well. And we can do that through other programming without the community hub in place to then show that we're doing things and this community hub will work and it will be useful for us and the town. So,
Right.
Yep. Okay, so you've got all of these pieces in place to do some of this amazing work and carry out the mission statement. And one of the projects that you all have coming up is called the Walk of Reflection, the Belchertown State School. And that's coming up this summer. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And is this the first big project that you're launching?
It's the first big programming project that we're doing, and we're all really, really excited about it. It's a big collaboration between a bunch of different community organizations, artists, people on the board and people outside of the board who have similar interests as us as well. So what it is, it's going to be a public art exposition. Why, I can't
Exhibition.
talk tonight. Thank you. That word.
Yep.
We're going to do some public art. And it's going to be how many projects? Like 5 projects in one. So we'll start with James Blackmore. Because that's one of the really exciting pieces. James Blackmore is a former Belchertown State School resident, and he's also an artist. And we applied for a bunch of grants, or have been applying for a bunch of grants, and recently was awarded a grant for $10,000 from NEFA, New England Foundation for the Arts. Yeah.
Oh my God. Sorry, I cut you off. That's New England Foundation for the Arts, right?
Yeah, this
NEFA.
isn't just local. This is regional, like
National.
big deal.
Oh, New
stuff.
England, right?
New England.
New England, not national. Sorry.
But that's still a big deal.
It is. It's huge.
Big deal.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It is really fantastic. So what that project's going to end up being is a collaboration with an artist, a mural artist that we are still working on confirming. So I don't exactly want to say their name yet, but it's looking really good. We'll be able to announce this week, but they'll be collaborating with James and a group of his fellow residents and some former residents of the Belchertown State School.
That's that's amazing. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So
Yeah.
James is they're gonna come up collectively with a visual arts project. James is then gonna interpret that with his own painting and on canvas work, and then they're gonna take that final piece and make some larger murals from it that will be on display for this walk.
Do we know where those murals will be?
So the plan for the whole project is to be on the former Belchertown State School campus, which is now being redeveloped by the Belchertown Economic Development Industrial Corporation, the BEDIC, and Mass Development, and they're calling it Carriage Grove. And then there is also some of the former state school property that is currently town owned that's adjacent to the same thing as the EDIC land. So it's all going to be taking place on there. A large part of it, we imagine, is going to be on what is now a common, like, grassy knoll area in the middle of the property and next to the former administration building.
So are these murals intended to be like semi-permanent? Are they going to go, or are they going to be put up on like large pieces of substrate, like built just to have the murals for now, or do we know?
So that's a great question. So for now, they're going to be semi-permanent in this location. We're planning on having them up for at least a month, but there's been a lot of discussion about having more permanent art pieces around the campus, the former campus, but also if that doesn't come to fruition, we have been talking to Kate, and Kate Benson, whom you've had on before, is really interested in housing them in the museum that they're hoping to put together.
Yeah. Now, how did Mr. Blackmore get involved with this project? Like, did you all pitch the idea to him, or how did that come about?
Really great question. The Belchertown Justice Collaborative folks approached us and said they wanted to collaborate with us on this project. They're actually the ones who ended up writing the NEFA grant, or spending most of the time writing a piece of the NEFA grant. And so they are at the helm of this specific project. One of their parents works with James and knew of him and his artistic background and thought he might be interested, and he was. So then, we put the idea together, and they wrote the grant, and we got the grant. So
that is so awesome, and I think about the poetic beauty, right, of bringing somebody who lived and experienced the Belchertown State School to come and do art to be displayed on those grounds as they are reimagined and revitalized. Mm-hmm. Getting chills, not me, Jen. hearing myself talk about this.
It's just yourself talking.
I know. No, but I think it is beautiful, and it speaks to the importance of having kind of these coordinated, organized elements in town working together, right? Mm-hmm. And thinking about these cultural moments of significance and projects that can help emphasize them. Mm-hmm. So I think I've got to give this a...
It's an amazing project. Yeah. And that's only the first piece of it.
And that's just scratching the surface.
Yeah. I mean, that alone would be something amazing to celebrate, right? Yeah. And you're also gonna, as part of I'm gonna keep saying it, as part of the Walk of Reflection for the Belchertown State School that's coming this summer, you're also going to be having a poetry workshop with friends of our podcast, Attack Bear Press. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sarah, you want to take this one?
Yeah, so Jason from Attack Bear Press, we had reached out to him, and he ended up joining us and getting really excited about this because he also works with an organization that has former residents of the state schools as well. So he immediately jumped on this project with us. And I'm not going to say the organization's name just because we don't have his permission to throw that out there. So, but part of this will be taking his talents, one of the talents of Attack Bear Press, of their amazing poetry development, and working with former residents and working with younger residents of his to then really talk about kind of the nuances of former, how we treated and how we had former residents live in kind of mental institutions or different institutionalized living, to compare it to now, how people who live in, it's not even a structured institutionalized living now it's more communal in houses and living in a different way, more independently than in the past. So it's going to be really interesting seeing what comes out of these workshops, and it'll be a unique blend of kind of the present meeting the past. And really, again, it'll be educational as well as healing, all combined in one. So it's going to be another just amazing aspect. See, all of us get chills every time we talk about any piece of this project. Every meeting we have, everybody's like, oh, I just got chills.
Yeah.
Another cool piece of it is Attack Bear Press will have their poets in residence on campus when we do the live event, and sporadically placed in between some of the artwork and other exhibitions that are going on. to allow people to reflect on what they're experiencing, whether or not they are past residents or family members or friends of past residents, or even folks who used to work there themselves, because there's still plenty of those folks living
My
in
mother
town.
was one. There's a ton of them in town. So
Yep. So having that space for visitors to reflect on what they're experiencing is also going to be really incredible.
Yeah. Well, knowing Jason Montgomery and Alex and the other folks involved with Attack Bear Press, I think it's going to be a fantastic project. They do incredible stuff.
They do.
No, I'm just thinking.
You're reflecting on it.
I'm reflecting about a previous project that Attack Bear Press did in our town. Excuse me, Stomping Jen. I'm getting choked up thinking about it. It was kind of it was I don't know how to describe it. It was the thing that they did where you walked through the ancestral story.
Oh, the story walk?
Yeah. The story walk that Attack Bear Press and Jason Montgomery did.
Yeah.
It was just amazing.
Yeah.
And it was
a cool project.
Yeah. And it was integrated into the landscape and into a piece of our common town property, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could walk along and follow this amazing story of one of Jason's ancestors.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm sure they're going to have something really special in store for our town. So another exciting piece of this walk of reflection is going to be an original theater piece created by a group featuring
really cool.
Featuring live performance stations with large-scale projections. Can you talk a little bit about what that's going to look like for us?
Sure. This is one of the really exciting. I mean, they're all. I
They're
say
all
that
exciting.
about all of the projects. So
All
I don't
my
even
babies
know.
are worthy.
Oh, it's true. But so this is being put on by the Rainbow Players, and at the helm of that is God, I'm gonna mess up their name. Ezel, I think is how you pronounce it. Ezel or Ezel? Ezel. I think it's Ezel. And she's the director and is part of a nonprofit group. And all of the players and the Rainbow Players are folks with varying disabilities. So there's a lot of cognitive disabilities. There's a lot of she works with, a whole spectrum of folks. And they are performing an original piece. And there's going to be stations throughout the campus where you essentially experience each piece of this play. And one of the big pieces is a big projection piece that'll be pre-recorded, that'll be projected on the side of the former administration building. And so there's going to be pieces of this that are pre-recorded. There's going to be all of this. The entire project is going to be accessible via via an app or website. So folks who aren't in the immediate area can also enjoy everything and learn all about the different artworks and all about the different former residents and the players and all of that. So the play itself is going to be really exciting and innovative in that it's going to take you walking from station to station around all of the other art pieces to experience the entire story that they're presenting.
Oh, wow.
That's really cool.
I love that. I love projections on buildings, so I get it.
Yeah.
I imagine that piece going to have to be at night? The projection
That's a good
piece?
question. I have no idea.
It's a great question. So that's a technical question. And I think that if you have a strong enough projector that you can project, thinking about back to town meeting, there was a projector in the middle of the day and we could see it perfectly fine. So it's just a matter of
our technical advisor.
Yeah.
TK, what was his name?
TK 413.
TK 413.
Technical advisor, look at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a stormtrooper involved. It's
That's
going to
awesome.
be. It's going to be
Love
fine.
it.
Everything's going to be fine.
It's going to be great. As long as Moff
Yeah.
Gideon doesn't
Yeah.
show up.
Oh, we don't want him. So that's really cool. And I have to, well,
That's
I have to
really
say,
cool.
I have a renewed appreciation for theater
Oh, you do?
because I got
After
into Hamilton this
Oh my
summer.
God.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah, the Hamilton fans,
big time.
Good way to get people into theater.
Yeah.
right?
I'd never have been that into it. But I really saw
Travesty.
the power of it
Yeah.
by watching Hamilton.
Oh.
So I'm interested in seeing this, right?
Yes.
And one of the things I loved about Hamilton was it increased representation of people, right? People of color, really focused on the importance of immigrants in our society, right? So I'm looking forward to seeing any kind of production that kind of continues that tradition of focusing on underrepresented populations like people with disabilities.
Right. It's so interesting because we just had Kelsey Hall too.
Yeah.
I just
On
listened to that episode the other day.
about
She's an amazing
accessibility.
human being. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm looking forward to that.
So
I
already in my mind, I want to connect you guys.
I was gonna say, I was actually gonna ask you when we were done with this if you could connect us because I think she would be an amazing resource for the app development piece of it. So
Yeah. Yeah. In full disclosure, this is really my role in all of this. You know, like
She
you
connects
ask,
everybody.
I connect everybody
Yeah.
in town to everybody else.
When are you going to connect me with
Jen.
someone?
Shut up. We have a connection, you and I.
Oh, all right.
You don't need to be connected to anybody.
Sarah, please go ahead.
To show Jen being this connector is I moved back to town, attended a food truck Friday and I grew up here. So we moved away for I think I lived away for almost 10 years and then came back and said, okay, I need to find out cultural council. Found out who cultural council was through connecting, I believe, to Jen. I think she was the one messaging me online to come to a meeting. And I think it was either my first or second ever meeting this group of wonderful women that I mentioned something somewhere to Jen that, oh my gosh, my dream would be to make a food hub in this town. We want to develop this town. Brian and I came from a city and now we're moving back to the woods and we need something. And then at the end of it had to have been the second meeting I went to. So the second time really meeting her, she goes, okay, can you stay back for a minute? Can you stay back? And she pulls me aside to the side of the library like she's going to sell me something illegal. And starts talking okay, you need to get connected with these people. You need to meet this person, Lindsay, who wants to do something in the state school. You need to start working on this project with other people. I'm going to show you the building we want to look at. We want this whole hub. So that is how Jen just embodies she hears an idea and meets somebody interested in it. And it's so hard to just run because you fall in love with it.
Yeah.
And you fall in love with that idea and just the motivation to say, yes, okay, where are these people? And then once you meet the others, it becomes these lifelong friendships. It's amazing.
Yeah, I was going to say, and then you become best friends.
I know.
And then,
and then you form a nonprofit. And then
That is fantastic.
It's amazing.
That is
It's all
fantastic.
new people.
And I have my own Jen food truck. Can you hang out for a minute story? But it ended with me emptying trash cans for an hour.
I will just say,
yes, please.
we're deviating from our focus,
We'll get back to it.
topic,
Sorry.
We'll get
but
back
I
to
will
it.
just say that there are incredible people out there, and it's finding the way that people shine and figuring out how they can work together and the collaborative. But it's the people. You guys are all amazing. You're amazing people. That's why you all fall in love with each other. 'Cause I fall in love with you, and then I have to share that knowledge with everybody else I know.
Yeah.
All right, and
But this, you're crying, Stomping Jen.
Stop crying.
This,
a little bit.
but no, this, it's an important point of emphasis, right? Is that these kinds of amazing projects we're talking about, right, as part of the Walk of Reflection that's coming up this summer, right, don't happen in a vacuum.
Oh, no, they don't.
Right? They happen because people are passionate about where they live, right? I mean, we're talking about Belchertown now, but I mean, these ideas apply everywhere, right?
Right.
To any town, really. And so people become passionate about the place they live, right? They want to be involved. And then, there are people out there who make these things happen, right? Which is one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you all. So when this project comes, people can really get an understanding of like all that goes into it, right? And the people behind it. That's what's really so amazing to me.
Yeah.
So another piece of this, and this is for all of you,
Thank you.
right? We're gonna be hitting this button a lot, I think. Another part of the Walk of Reflection coming this summer is going to be a visual arts installation featuring work by Community Options. I don't even know what that is. Could someone tell me?
Yeah, so Jen mentioned it earlier. It's in the public school system, one of our board members, Johanna, is a transition specialist, an autism and behavioral specialist at the Belchertown public school system in the high school. And so she works almost exclusively in the transitions program, which is focused on finding vocational opportunities for these students to work. And right now they're being bussed out of our town, and they're being bussed out to all of our surrounding communities because there aren't a lot of opportunities here in town for them, which is really unfortunate. And one of our focuses in this whole project, and as the BCA in general, is to bring some of that back here. But Community Options is one of the next steps in town. So when you age out of the transitions program, the Community Options program is an adult program with folks with disabilities. They have a really cool little shop in town called Ransaka that has crafts and other handmade items and some antique type knick-knacky things that they sell.
Can I just pause there? I've seen that shop a million times. I had no idea it was connected to Community Options.
Yep.
Yeah, it's one of their fundraising pieces. The folks who are
For
part
real?
of that program work on all of the pieces inside of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. These are the hidden things that you find out when you start talking to people in town.
I literally thought it was some 85-year-old retiree's antique shop. That's what I thought.
Not that one in specifically.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like, I think part of what Community Options does, correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't spent a lot of time with Anne, who runs that program, but they do placement, right, for these people to help them find work and opportunities out.
They also have their own landscaping business.
Oh, they do? Oh, cool.
Yeah, which is really cool.
And so
you can find that on Facebook.
And so they're going to do an art installation, a visual arts installation as part of the Walk of Reflection. Yes. Do we know anything more about what that might be, or they're still working on ideas?
Well, they're still working on ideas, but the really cool thing about it is Ann Shelton, who is the director over at Community Options. She has deep connections to town. Her family was integral in getting the Belchertown State School actually dissolved and shut down, and has really deep connections in terms of folks with disabilities. So that in itself is really special. But she also used to be a fine art professor up in New Hampshire, I believe. So she has all of this arts experience under her belt and is a fine artist herself. So she's taking sort of pieces from both of her worlds and combining them to work with some of the they're not residents, but folks who work in the Community Options program. So it's going to be an arts installation. There've been talks about peace poles, but I believe they might be leaning towards something else, but it's going to be sculpturally based. I know that.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. And to go along with this, we talked a little bit about Kate Anderson.
Is it Anderson or Benson? Which one's her married name? Because her books are under Anderson.
Yeah. Her married name is Benson.
Her married name is Benson.
Yeah, listen to episode
Kate.
97.
Yeah, Kate.
Yeah.
Kate. Yeah.
And so she is doing a historical book walk featuring her work and work by Ed Orzkowski. And if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Orzkowski is a former resident.
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
You are mistaken.
He helped write.
That happens a lot here, by the way.
He helped
Yes.
write. So he helped a former resident write a book.
Correct.
Maybe potentially more than one. At least one. What's the one?
He's Donald
Yes.
Vickus.
Right.
Okay.
Donald Vickus, who wrote the book that I read.
Story.
He wrote his
He's
memoir.
working on another right now.
Okay. That is why that's why he's associated with the memoirs of the former resident.
You'll like it here.
You'll like it here. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah. Okay. I knew he was associated with that somehow.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. And so they're doing a historical book walk. I've got to tell you, people, Kate Benson, Catherine Anderson.
Yeah, Kate.
Same person.
Yes.
Listen to episode 97 of this podcast, because I will tell you, it will knock your socks off.
Yes,
the
deep
amount
knowledge.
of knowledge she has of the history of these state schools, these state hospitals, and even in Belchertown in particular.
Right, which isn't a hospital. It was a school.
Right, it was a state school.
Right.
I cannot wait to see what she puts together with this Ed Orzkowski. It's going to be good.
You just wanted to say his name again.
I'm trying. I'm trying to do him justice.
You're doing a really good job of it, too.
I'm trying to do him
That's a tough
justice.
It is a touch one.
All right. Now, this is all going to be tied together, right?
Correct.
April, you mentioned this before with this app. Can you tell us a little more about this?
I'm so excited about the app. The app was inspired by an NPR story I heard. I don't know if it was this fall. I think it was this fall, after we had already been talking a little bit about this project and where we wanted to go. But the NPR story was really talking about this composer who composed music, or worked with a bunch of different composers to compose specific pieces of music to reflect geolocation, like markered spots in Central Park. So what you would have this app open, you'd walk around and you'd hit this spot and this one piece of music would play. And my husband is a composer, but also in the music licensing world. And we were, both super jazzed up about how could we use something similar to that with this project? And I think the answer is, it is going to be a geolocation map sort of game that's written on you can use it via an app on your cell phone or your tablet, and basically it'll hold content both that is a map that shows all of the physical pieces that are in this whole walk of reflection, so the murals and all of the different performance arts pieces in the Rainbow Players and community options and all of the points in the book walk. And they'll all be tied together on this app, but then there's also going to be digital specific memoirs. There's a lot of spoken history pieces that we have, and even more digital historical pieces that are going to be tied together too. So we're really excited about this as being the launch of this specific app, is this project. And then in long-term future, we see it being applied to the walking trails and Lake Wallace walking trail in town, and the other trails that they're talking about in the farmland that used to belong to the former state school as well. And before that, farmland from residents in town, and telling that history, and then connecting it up to our historic town center. So there's a long-term plan for this app, but in the short term, it's going to be very specific about this project and things that are centered around the former state school property and are the walk of reflection. Really exciting stuff.
Now, one thing I think is good is it sounds like a lot or all of this stuff is going to be outside, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
So this
Yes.
this COVID-19 that we're all dealing with is not going to
The
be a
COVID.
problem, right?
That's the thing is
Hopefully. Yeah.
it's like a walk as if you were going on a walking trail
Yep.
around Lake Wallace
Yep.
or anything like that. You can socially distance, you'll be outside and you'll be safe. Hopefully, knock on wood, there will be a good percentage of folks vaccinated this summer.
Yep.
So we're anticipating it to be a very safe experience. But one of the great pieces of it, again, is when we get the app off the ground, folks can experience this project from anywhere in the world too. So if they can't access the physical location, if they no longer live in the area, they can still experience it.
Yeah, I mean, what I like about this, right, is that we can look forward to it, right? We don't have to worry about it with this COVID,
Yes.
right? That's what I like.
Yes.
It gives me something.
Light at the end of the tunnel, man.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm just saying it's nice to have a community event that you can think about
Actually
attending and be like, oh, let's, I don't have to worry about that thing getting canceled.
Right.
So anyways, I'm looking forward to this. Sarah, I wanted to ask you, I can't see you from here, so I don't know if the Padawan
You look settled.
is settled or not.
Yes.
You mentioned a food hub,
Yes.
that this was something you and your husband
BCA.
TK413 were interested in, right? This food hub. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
I don't know if TK413. He likes to eat food.
He likes to eat the food. Yes.
Yes.
I cook the food. He eats the food.
It's a great tester.
It is. Yeah. So, I mean, this is kind of shifting gears to what we're going to be really focusing on as our capital campaign project.
Mm-hmm.
And really this magical building we all keep referencing that really was the core of starting the Cultural Alliance, the Cultural, now Community Alliance.
And is that what we call Building 6?
6
Yes,
Berkshire.
so this is 6 Berkshire, and I reference it as cultural because that was our original intent, was creating this cultural hub inside 6 Berkshire. Now with this evolution of just listening to all these projects bringing together, that's why we're now community. So I swear it's the last time I'll say cultural. But this 6 Berkshire is it's a town-owned building, and it was a former dormitory building for the former state school property. It's been a school. I think that's the only 2 main things that it's been.
Mm-hmm.
Kate or Jill Beerley, one of our other board members, could tell us more on the history of the building. But it's a really unique property, and it's one of 2 of the town-owned buildings that they have this really neat kind of X shape to them. And they were both saved from being demolished recently. And what we want to put in there is creating on the first floor, on the bottom floor, this kind of culinary center. It's going to be small. It's a small footprint, but it's a starting point. So I've been in culinary as far as I can remember. I've kind of shifted out of it a little bit. My business is culinary, but I used to be in actual kitchens and everything. I have a degree in teaching culinary, and plan to use that in programming for this once we get this part done.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of entrepreneurs in our area, and I think post-COVID, we're going to see even more entrepreneurs popping up after, because they lost their corporate jobs, so they kind of figured out how to do something else. And what we see is a lack of a place for these people to go out here. There's a giant kind of food hub out in Worcester where small businesses, food entrepreneurs can go and develop their products. And then sometimes you can rent out a church kitchen, or I have my home kitchen certified. But there's no space in our local area. I think Holyoke just opened or is opening a small space, but that's still 45 minutes away from Belchertown.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there's no area for food entrepreneurs to go and cook. And one of the things is I did a little cooking class, a little baking class for Cultural Council one year for Art Week. And we did it in like this tiny little kitchen in the rec center. So there's nowhere in town to even do really fun cooking classes. And
I was in that class and it was super fun.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun, but it was in this little, you just throw a bunch of tables in a room and you kind of figure it out. So there's nowhere here to do things like that. And that's something that I know that the town would benefit from. And our local, we have a lot of food trucks popping up, and food trucks need a hub to prepare their food in. So you need a certified kitchen to prepare, and then you can serve out of your truck. So really kind of the bottom of this floor is my baby. That's
But what's the other half, Sarah?
The other half is really exciting too. So the back half of it is meant to be this kind of culinary center where you have entrepreneurs being able to use it, do cooking classes, all of that fun business, vocational classes for our Belchertown Public School group. And then you go to the front half of it, the kind of street facing side. I'll say pretty side. I think the building's beautiful. And that is going to be a cafe. So a really kind of community forward cafe space. And that way you can have art shows there. You can have meetings there. You can go and get a really good sandwich. I don't want to diss any of our restaurants in town. I'm not doing that, but we need more variety.
We need a place. Yeah, we need a place that will serve you avocado toast.
Oh my God!
No, I'm not kidding.
Whatever you want,
and a London fog to go with it.
Sandwich out here. Oh, so I lived in Providence, Rhode Island forever, and oh my gosh, the food hub they have, the restaurants, and I miss them. And we have to drive 45 minutes, half an hour is like the least amount of driving we have to go to get things like this. So we have great cafes, we have great restaurants, we just don't have variety. We don't have, we have Italian, we have pizza, burgers,
Chinese,
and
Dunkin's,
Asian
and 2 Dunkin' Donuts,
that
are closed by what, 6,
we don't have a place to get a latte, like a real steamed latte,
right?
And I think all it's going to take is one successful space, right? And it's gonna crack the egg on this omelet. I know it will.
People are afraid.
Yeah.
Businesses are afraid to come here because nobody has been that first really big push to show it's successful. I mean, Antonio's came here and they've been great. They've been very successful but again, it's pizza. We have pizza.
Right.
So, and again, we also don't have a place to do an open mic night. Bands,
right?
Somewhere to go to do poetry.
Teens don't have any place to hang out, and then they congregate over by the Dunkin' Donuts.
Forget the teen stomping, Jen. If there's an open mic night, I'm going to be there.
Yes,
I used to do stand-up comedy.
I was going to say, I've heard you tell stories. So
oh yes,
this would be amazing.
Go ahead, please.
No, I'm just saying there really is no place. You know, we were talking about this over the weekend. Like, there's no place for teens to hang out. You know, like. Have that place that, you know, they're not going out in the woods. They're not, you know, Sarah grew up here. She can tell you.
I can tell you what we
They're not loitering.
And I was a good teen. So
And they're not breaking into old state school properties.
I never went into the state schools illegally when I was a teen here.
Never. You would never.
Never skateboarded at Chestnut Hill in the middle of the night. Never. That's not what we did. That's what kids do out here. You play ding dong ditch, you walk down the street late, like you get into trouble because there's nowhere to put that energy.
Right.
Yeah, and a cool little coffee shop or something would be a really awesome place to congregate around.
Yeah. Plus, like, you know, I think the beautiful part about this is that as the Belchertown EDIC is trying to develop the other side of the state school property, having some additional amenities that are sort of in that center of town will really just add to the benefit of helping to market that area too.
Now, aside from the food hub, are there any other ideas for this building 6?
Absolutely. So on the second floor, we imagine a flex space community hub with a technical, almost, I don't want to say conference room, but like a technical room in it, essentially, where you can go and there will be workshops for Sarah, serve safe.
Serve
Food-
safe. That's
Serve
food.
safe.
Yeah.
I got it right that time.
Food
So
safety.
serve safe, and from me, it being a photographer standpoint, having like a computer lab where you with a projection involved, I can teach Photoshop and I can teach Lightroom and things, tools like that folks can learn and use. So we're thinking business and technical stuff, and then also used as a gallery space, because again, we don't have any gallery space in town right now. And it's been requested quite a bit.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so a community space
Yep.
with maybe some workshop space,
Right. We could
technical
do a
workshop
podcast
space.
workshop.
Did you know, Stomping Jen, that I have developed podcast
Oh, have
workshops
you?
and taught them
Oh.
before?
really,
Oh, goodness.
Yes, I have.
Oh,
Yep.
goodness.
Yep, I have. I am an
we'll have
expert.
to remember that.
Yeah. I mean, but there's other really interesting, there just isn't a lot of space to do these types of things in town that are available to people of the town to do.
Mm-hmm.
And
A whole other
basically,
section to think about is the homeschool population.
correct.
Yeah.
And having a space where they can meet with other homeschool folks and do some STEAM education in town, and have just a meeting space in general
Yeah.
is going to be huge for us,
Yeah. For the town.
for the town. When I say us, I mean
Yes.
Belchertown.
You mean the town. And there's a third floor of this building.
What's up there? What would you like to see up there?
Well,
We would like to see an anchor tenant up there. There's been discussion with a local business who's also creatively based, who would fit into the space really, really well. And they're very excited about joining the space. However, the building is not handicap accessible, which is a big deal when you own a small business. So that's one of our big challenges with these spaces, is to bring them up to code, make sure that they're accessible to everyone, and really places that people want to hang out.
All right. So are there other, aside from this building 6, right? Are there other spaces or other kind of projects that the Community Alliance is thinking about long term?
Oh yeah.
How
We
long-
have lots of ideas for the future, for sure. The problem is, I mean, some of the buildings in town are owned by the public, so they're private. They're privately owned, I should say, and others are owned by the town. So one big space that we have our eye on and are hoping to really dig into one day is Tagel School.
Mm-hmm.
And we envision a really amazing maker space in that it's just built for that. It's already accessible. It's handicap accessible. Right now it's technically owned and managed by the school system, but however, it's not really being utilized for anything other than storage and the town's IT department at the moment. And
correct.
the K9 unit as well has an office in there, but it's mostly storage, to be honest.
Right. But when you think about maker spaces, and opportunities and knitting all of these pieces together, right? So having something like a wood shop, so people can learn how to do things, with
3D
wood,
printing,
3D printing,
metalwork.
Right. Cricut machines are huge.
Yep.
People love to make their own designs and do things with it. So,
Cricut?
A Cricut machine.
What's that? I don't know what that is.
So how
Sarah
people
has a Cricut.
Have it next to me.
What is that?
So how people make designs and put them on T-shirts and mugs and all that. They create a design on this machine called a Cricut, and it cuts it out of the vinyl that you can then put on things or paper. I don't even know. I don't really have a.
Why is it called a Cricut?
It's CRICUT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not
Not the insect.
not like the button that you have. On
I'm not going to hit it, but yeah.
But I mean, we toured when because You guys didn't even mention the BCA did get a grant from Mass Development, a workforce
in Mass Cultural Council Community. What was it called? The Collaborative
Workforce Development Grant, right? So it's for like co-working spaces. So they got a grant to do a feasibility study on 6 Berkshire Ave. But when the award was granted, we all traveled out to Worcester to receive the award, and we toured a makerspace out there, and like they had everything you can think of. They had the wood, they had what else did they have? That was like the laser printing. They had CNC machines that you could learn how to operate a CNC machine, which is what engineers use for things like
everybody draft now.
They had what?
They have a textile area.
Right? Sewing. I mean, these are all things when you think about Belchertown and the type of community that it is, these are all activities that are happening around town, but not in any kind of formalized way. It's happening in people's houses or, on a one-to-one kind of basis. So offering these opportunities, these sort of like more vocational type things that kids can learn, how to do things,
Not just kids, adults.
Kids and adults.
People of all abilities.
Exactly.
As well.
Exactly. So, bringing it all together and knitting it all together and having a space to do that's community based. I mean, that's really.
I'm going to ask a stupid question.
Yes, not stupid.
No, this is my specialty. I'm going to ask a stupid question. All right. So I know you're going after like these grants, and that's one source of funding, right? To help move forward the work of the Belchertown Community Alliance. Is there other types of fundraising that can be done as a nonprofit that you're thinking about potentially doing? Or like in my mind, and I'm an idiot, I don't know anything. Like there's like some wealthy benefactor out there who has ties to Belchertown who we've just got to find and ask for the money.
Sure.
How do we find that person?
If you can find them, that would be
great. Let us know. Give them our phone number. No, but really it's about, so the Walk of Reflection is a really important project for our community in that we're trying to reclaim the space and the negative connotation around the former Belchertown State School and giving it back to some of the former residents to sort of process their experiences there. Secondary to that, it will also give us clout in that we're doing programming, and we're doing programming very specific to our community, and will hopefully get us attention in the press, doing awesome podcasts like this. Any other radio, like there's talks about NEPM doing a piece on the project, and any of that, getting that attention will then get the attention of the folks like you're talking about, the benefactors.
Right.
On a much smaller scale, where we are accepting like personal individual donations, and we're going to be setting up a membership program that will be launching shortly.
Oh, cool.
And we're also going to be approaching our local business community, who is very active and supportive in all of the events and things that are happening in our community. So we're hoping that they will also be receptive to the Walk of Reflection and things like that. So different outlets of fundraising for sure. Another really cool one that we're doing is actually former resident High Five Books in Florence. In March, we have a fundraising couple of weeks. Didn't see that?
Yeah, we had Lexi on our podcast.
Yeah. So Lexi is going to be doing a fundraiser for us for 2 weeks in March, where a percentage of the sales will go to BCA. So we're trying to find any and all of the fundraising outlets that we can right now. Yeah.
It's hard.
It is.
It's hard there, when you're a newborn nonprofit and you don't have a lot of street marketing, like street cred. basically.
Yeah.
You know,
It was a deadly virus within your first year.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See people or do event.
But
Yeah.
truthfully, like bright side lining of it, like it was a really shitty year for everyone, but it gave us the time to really get organized and do all of that administrative stuff that we really needed to get done, and redefine or refine what our mission was and what it was that we really wanted to focus on. So it gave us the time where we didn't feel like we were rushed and ignoring that just to get to the next thing. And I think that's one of the reasons why this Walk of Reflection is, sort of coming together after all this time, is because we were able to refine what our focus is, and now we're going to have this space to create this community event that, hopefully everyone will come out to be able to celebrate. Hopefully still socially distant. Wear your masks, people.
And what I love about the Belchertown Community Association, the BCA,
Alliance.
right? Alliance. Thank you,
Yes.
Stomping Jen. Sorry.
Yeah, cool.
We're all in alliance.
So
because-
what I love about the Belchertown Community Alliance, right, is its focus on change and progress that aims at honoring the history of the town, right?
Yeah.
One of the things I see on community forums, and I won't say which ones, are the folks who seem really oppositional to change because they fear it's going to leave behind what the town is, right? Or change the character of the town in some way. And like, what I want to say to those people is, look at what the Belchertown Community Alliance is doing here. They're focused on forward progress that wants to honor the town, the history of the town, preserve the character of the town by keeping these buildings around, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, people, this is something. Now listen to me, people. I will lecture people. Now listen up.
Get the finger out.
Yeah. This
Nicer than I would.
this is something to get involved in, right?
Of course.
And can
1000%.
people listening to this get involved with the
Please,
BCA?
yes.
Tell us
my
how.
goodness.
Tell us how they do that.
So there's a couple different ways. You can be a member volunteer. You can help us out on a, whatever time commitment is, suitable for you. We're going to be doing this one big event coming this summer, and that's one way to really get involved. Another way is this year we're really focused on expanding our board. And we have, we have great connections right now with on our board with artists and entrepreneurs, educators, and historians. We could really use someone who knows a bit about law and a little bit about accounting, more so about accounting and marketing and any other socially engaging projects such as this, or anyone who is development, who is really invested in seeing Belchertown grow in a responsible, appropriate way for our community.
Yeah. Fundraisers.
Yeah, development.
Is that what
So
development
much
is?
That is what development
Yeah.
is, sweetheart.
Development
yes.
is grant writing and fundraising, like money. Help us make money so we could do more cool stuff.
Yeah.
They're out there.
No, there's
We
plenty
got to
more.
get them.
Yeah.
We got to hook them and get them in.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, but spreading the word is helpful, really educating people on what is trying to be, what the work is and what the vision is and what the end goal, is kind of looking like.
Another stupid question. Are donations to a nonprofit tax deductible?
Sure as heck are.
So people, see, I'm going to do some development right now.
There you go.
So people, listen up. If you can throw a few bucks the way of the Belchertown Cultural Alliance, you can deduct
Community
that.
Alliance.
Oh, I give up.
Oh, see?
Just call it the BCA.
The BCA.
Then we don't have to worry about
I'm throwing in
all
the. Can't keep it straight. So listen, people. So you can give back to our town. You can,
it's an investment in
invest in
the
our town.
community.
That's it.
That's exactly what this is. It's an investment in, and there's been so much transformation in this community. There's been a lot of residential growth, and there's a lot of families, and there's not.
I was going to say a lot of demographic change.
Yeah, but I mean, more so to the point, there's not a lot of things for people to do here besides sports.
Right.
What, 15,000 plus residents now?
Right.
We've had an exponential growth just year over year. It's
right.
Yeah.
We need development. We need movement forward. We can't stay stagnant in town.
Right.
When we say development and when we say movement, we mean in a smart, targeted way. We're not talking about bringing a Walmart to town,
Walmart,
or like that's not what we're looking. We're looking to grow small independent businesses that are really needed in this town.
And I think that, to your point of saying we don't want to bring a Walmart into town, I think what people need to understand is growth is going to happen no matter what in this town. Economic development, there is no fighting it. It will happen. There are properties for sale. There is land for sale. So who do you want to be redeveloping these properties? Who
have a say.
Do you want residents in the town to have a voice in saying, this is what we're creating? This is how we are putting our own dollars into our town? Or do you want somebody from outside to come in and take over that development for you
and put in what they
really
think?
The biggest thing is people are so not I swear I wasn't going to say the acronym that's been used a lot lately, but it's going to happen. We are a big town now. We're not a backwoods. I lived here when we were, I think, under 10,000 residents. We were, I think, 7,000 residents when I was in high school or less. And we just aren't that anymore. And so you have this population here now. So you might as well get involved with helping develop it in a positive and responsible way. So you see the town people thrive. And the more money that people come into town and spend here, the more money our town has to spend on things like our school, upkeeping our parks. It's amazing how it works.
Right. EMT and firefighters and services for our town.
More positions
better
with a
roads.
higher budget. From tax dollars coming in from businesses.
Right.
I could go on all night, but it's getting involved is the number one way to do this development right.
Right.
Yeah. And I want to ask a really obvious question. I think I know the answer, but I want to give you a chance to speak to it really specifically. You all are volunteers with really busy lives. Sarah there has a very new Padawan. April, you've got some older Padawans of your own.
Slightly older, yeah.
Yep. Why are you investing your time in this?
Because it's our home.
Yeah.
And it's somewhere where we want to raise our children and want to create a legacy for them and a community that they're proud to be a part of. That's speaking from me.
Yeah.
Let Sarah speak for herself.
No, mine's similar. I mean, I'm proud of this town. I wouldn't have moved back here if I didn't love this town. There's a lot of things, that would be good to change. And we have our future generations that we see it in the Justice Collaborative in town. We see it happening. We see the future generations growing, and I want to give something to them and help those generations so that the town thrives. Because I feel like we are on this fine line of, if we don't do something, then the town could get into trouble, whether financially or economically, and just stall out. And then you end up with more vacant buildings. And my kids, my children and I are going to live in a town where half of the town is all of a sudden empty.
Yeah.
Or we'll leave, like worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
Or move.
Or it'll just
find
be
a different town. And I don't want to do that, because this is my home. This is where I grew up, and this is where I want my kid. I chose that this is the town that I want my children to grow up in, because I do believe in it. So absolutely. We spend tireless hours on this, and It's out of true care for giving something to the people of this town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that really comes through just in talking to you about this for over the last hour or so. I think that resonates really strongly. Anything else you talk about in terms of the Belchertown Community
BCA.
BCA?
The
Thank you,
BCA.
Stomping Jen.
Yeah, we would love for anyone to join us on our monthly meetings. We always meet virtually the first Sunday of every month at 3 p.m. And to find out or get the link for that meeting, you can sign up for our email newsletter that goes out once a month. So we won't bombard you with a ton of emails. But if you're interested, please reach out. We would love any support you could give us.
Yeah, and if you have a skill, if you're sitting there and you think you have a skill that might be useful, it probably would be useful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In some way.
It's true.
Yeah. And, I can attest, I've seen this group of people up close, and they care a lot and want positive changes for our town. Anything else, Sarah? I don't want to miss you. Anything else you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, it's please excuse us while we're changing our name.
Yes. BCA. Always refer.
BCA. It's all BCA. But yeah, it's just get involved. That's the biggest thing, is you can't complain if you don't get involved. So come join us and do good work. And I'm amazed at the people I meet through this. It's incredible, the people that you meet from getting involved in this work.
Yep. Local podcasters.
Yes. Amazing local podcasters. And that's really just the biggest thing, is we can't do this alone. Is we really do need people to join us to bring this up and make it as successful as we know it will be.
Yeah.
The more people we have behind us, the faster we can, see positive change too.
And if you're listening and you live in town, this will affect you, and this is something you can be proud of and be involved in.
Yep, for sure. All right, Stomping Jen, I don't want to leave you out.
Oh, me?
Yep.
Why?
Well, you're kind of on the border of co-host and involved party here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yes, this is an organization and a concept that I'm strong advocate for. Yeah, it's one of the reasons I ran for select board. So I have to say that. So that's why I have to now maintain this separation between myself and the organization.
Yep.
But the concept of it and the collaborative nature of it and all of the component pieces of it.
Yeah. And to that piece, to be clear, you're not on the board.
I am
you're
not on the board.
Yeah.
I don't do the work.
Yep. Just want to say that.
The day-to-day, I can volunteer to help out in the ways that I can, which is mostly connecting people to other people.
Emptying trash cans.
I mean, but the value that has, I can't even tell you. I mean, even I never in my life, it's like this karmic relationship to the world that I've navigated the last 20 some odd years of my life. Like,
is the spiritualness of my man bun rubbing off on you somehow?
Oh my God. But even this podcast, like we've gotten messages that our podcast has brought people together. Like they hear about, something happening on our podcast. They reach out because we know these people. And like, I am always,
that makes doing it worth it alone.
I mean, that fulfills me in so many different ways. And not only that, then I get invited over, then I get like amazing, like dessert treats, and I get invited to amazing farm meals. And like, I mean, it truly, I mean, when you pay it forward and you like really invest in the people that you believe in, I mean, it just, the returns are just amazing. Yeah. So.
Right. And this BCA organization is all about investing in a community.
Yes.
Right. So people get involved, help out, and you're going to be giving back to yourself, everybody else around
Everybody
you.
Wins.
Everyone
wins.
Right. Mm-hmm. All right. We're going to transition to the most fun part of this podcast, right? Where I ask you some random questions.
Random question.
These are easy, safe questions. I promise.
That have nothing to do with the BCA.
Yeah, it's just this first one is to help us to help us get to know you a little bit better. So
now I'm suddenly nervous.
Oh,
don't
God,
be nervous,
don't be
please.
nervous.
No, I'm kidding.
Please.
And I wasn't
all right.
sure.
So-
No.
So when you're not volunteering for the BCA, when you're not working, what do you like to do for fun? You can go first, Sarah.
Ooh. Oh, I'm going first. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I know it's so cliche. Spending time with my family.
I don't think that's
But it is.
cliche at all.
I love spending time with my family because we are always so busy. It is nice to be able to take a minute and we go hiking when we can again. I'll start eating out at restaurants again and discovering new food. Discovering new food is probably one of my favorite pastimes. I asked for only cookbooks this year for Christmas, and I wanted cookbooks of cuisines I had never tried before. So
What did you get? What did you get this year? Anything surprise you?
Now I need to remember the name of it. I'm going to say the name wrong. Parwana. I have to go look at it. But it's focused on more like Middle Eastern cooking, which I haven't done a lot of.
Yeah.
I have a really great focus on Japanese cooking book. And then my favorite one is Rise. Rise is by Marcus Samuelson. And it's highlighting all BIPOC cooks across the country and original recipes in it. And it's amazing. I've cooked about 10 recipes from it already. Every single one is delicious.
Rise. Right.
So,
we'll have to
yeah,
get that Stomp and
It's
Jen.
really good.
Okay.
A couple other other little ones. But that's really our free time, is really just running too. I'm just getting back into running. That's a big free time piece that I do a lot of.
That's awesome.
And then one day when my kids are older, I'll get back into art. One day. That'll be later.
That sounds like a lot. April, how about you? What do you like to do for fun?
My goodness. Also spending time with my family, with the two little ones, of course. I hate the cold, but I'm forcing myself to spend time outside. This winter, my husband built a skating rink in our backyard, despite my protests, and I'm actually glad he did it because everyone has really enjoyed it so far. But truthfully, all of my spare time is spent on the BCA and our projects. It really is a passion project of mine and something that I'm really excited about. But something for me, reading young adult fiction.
Nice.
Currently reading the last book in the Diviner series. And binging period pieces on all of the streaming services. So The Crown.
Oh, we're in season 4 of The Crown now. I'm so excited. Good. I love The Crown.
So good. Bridgerton.
Yeah.
Oh, we're watching that too. I have to say, I will.
So good.
I will at least be prepared now for when they change this queen again.
Oh, in season 5.
I didn't know they were going to do that. I was traumatized for days.
Oh no! Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
It's the same show anymore. No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, you were convinced that it went back in time, and I said, I don't think that's what's going on here.
Oh, you should have heard me. I was like, "There's no way they would do that. It's impossible."
They wouldn't do that to me.
Yeah, because he was so in love with the original Queen actress.
What's her, Claire
Foy or something.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. She was pretty awesome.
Little Queen crush going there. Unfortunately,
that's fair. I mean, that's fair.
You got ripped away. For me. All right. So, boy, I could do a whole half hour on that alone. So, my next and final question. Okay.
Oh, no.
All right. Now, why are you saying "oh no"?
Because it's my knee-jerk reaction when you say that.
All right. I'll ask it in a fun way.
Okay.
Ready?
Great. That sounds amazing.
We'll start with April though this time. Sure. We'll give Sarah some time to think about this one. What have you seen that you cannot explain? Oh, wait. I'm going to change this. I remember the last time. Remember I said I'm going to change. What have you experienced that you cannot explain? Let me
What have
just
I
start there.
experienced that I can't explain?
Yeah.
That's very deep.
It could be anything.
I dream a lot. I'm a very, very vivid dreamer, and sometimes it affects my day to day. I'm not psychic. I'm not claiming to be psychic, but I've woken up with feelings of like, oh no, something bad has happened, and come to find out something bad has happened. So, and I cannot explain that at all.
Thank you.
So it's dreams and how to interpret dreams, and they definitely play a day-to-day in your like emotional state and your experiences and processing everything. I just don't know to what depth.
Okay. All right, Sarah, what have you experienced that you cannot explain?
Gotta be this whole like January birthday thing or something.
Yes.
I'm not psychic. This is not what I'm saying. I believe I am a total believer in the weird, the sci-fi, the everything. Aliens are here. I will totally say I'm one of those. Yeah. It's okay. I've learned to say it out loud and proud about myself.
One of the reasons I love you.
I'm pretty sure April's husband and I had a giant conversation the first time I went over there about aliens. It's okay.
Yes, it's true.
But the weirdest things I would say that's happened, and this has happened so many times in my life, is that I will get a very strong thought about a person that I haven't seen in a very long time. Like I will not be able to stop thinking about them, and I will not have seen a picture, like nothing will happen, and then all of a sudden they will appear.
Yep.
Like it's the strongest part happened when I was in college. I was walking down a hallway and I had been thinking about my old friend forever, and I hadn't seen him in probably a year. Yeah. And no pictures, no reference, just for some reason he was in my brain, and then he like walked around down the corridor. I was like, oh, okay. I knew. So now when I start to think about somebody that I haven't seen in a long time, I'm like, okay, I'm going to see them at some point within the next couple months. It's a weird thing. It's happened my whole life.
Interesting.
The January birthday one's a good one too.
What is that? These January people.
Oh, all three of us are January birthdays.
Yeah.
You're a January person.
I know.
Yeah. Will is December 30th. I have 3 other friends who are in like similar like spaces and interests and things like that who are also January birthdays. And it's just weird.
What's January minus 9 months?
April.
That's
when my mom's birthday is. That's why me and my sister.
Why would people be mating?
That's why it's your name.
My name.
Why would people be mating more in April?
Oh, my mom's birthday was in April. That's all. That's why I know that.
Spring.
Everyone's Twitter pated.
Yeah. People are
birth of new life.
That's so funny.
Springs forth.
Is that really why your name was April? That's why they named you April?
Part of the reason.
Oh, there's a story there.
Well, thank you for sharing those stories. That was a lot of fun. I appreciated hearing them. Thank you for being good sports about it.
He's always looking for Bigfoot or aliens.
We get them sometimes. We get alien stories.
If you invite Will Banks, he'll talk to you about aliens for hours.
Oh God, he's an alien.
I am in the process of.
Give you a ghost story.
TK has a ghost story.
Oh no, I'll save my ghost story for the next time I'm on.
Oh, okay. Good. Yep. Yes. So
you guys can have a ghost special.
Yes, because you will be on in a few weeks, and you know what we will ask you at the end.
That's
so
right.
yes, save that ghost story. But what I was going to say to April is I am assembling a Avengers style panel to discuss aliens.
Oh yeah, he's obsessed.
You need Will Bangs on that panel.
All right,
for sure.
You let him know that Sawtooth will be reaching out at some point.
You got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
you got it.
Yeah, he's obsessed.
Obsessed. April JSAC Bangs.
Nailed it.
Sarah Maroney. Thank you for all you're doing with this BCA, the Belchertown Community Alliance.
There you go.
Hold on.
Hit the button.
See, I can do things.
It's too far away for me to hit it.
I can do things. No, thank you very much. Thank you for coming on and talking to us about this. Thank you for all you're doing for the community. What else, Stomping Jen?
We love you.
Well, I just met them.
Oh, I love these people.
No, I'm just kidding. We do love you. What else?
But we love our audience also.
Well, you got to stop beating me to that.
Well,
now.
you
I
keep
don't-
looking at me with these big pauses, so you want me to fill the silence. So
That's
I'm
true.
assuming that's what you want me to say.
All right, that's fine. It doesn't matter in what order we love our listeners
That's right.
and our fans. We
Yes.
still love you.
Yeah. Make sure that you're
Subscribe to the podcast.
downloading.
Download episodes. Tell a
Sharing
friend.
with a
Right. Tell a
friend.
friend. We're in a growth phase. We're going to continue to grow.
That's
right? And listen, I check these statistics about every day. So don't let me down, please.
Be safe. Get vaccinated.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yep.
Don't listen to QAnon.
Yep. So anything else before we say goodbye? Don't get
Maybe
the
that about
QAnon
covers
folks
it.
mad at us. Jesus.
Oh yeah, they're your friends, right?
I'm not saying anything about QAnon.
All right.
You said it.
All right.
That's why you have the disclaimer in the beginning, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right.
That's right.
That's right. We're covered. Thanks, April.
Yep.
Jeez, stop
All
it,
right.
Jen.
You ready?
Any other conspiracy group you want to call out while we're at it?
Jesus Christ.
All right. Okay. So, all right. April and Sarah, this is your opportunity to say goodbye to everybody.
Thank you so much for having us. It was really a pleasure being here and chatting with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sarah. All right. Stomping Jen.
All right.
Let's do it.
Bye now.
All right. Bye now. Hold on. What button is it? This one? All right. Bye now.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. America knows that this world of ours, ever growing smaller, must avoid becoming a community of dreadful fear and hate. Those who have freedom will understand also its heavy responsibility. That all who are insensitive to the needs of others will learn charity, and that the sources, scourges of poverty, disease, and ignorance will be made disappear from the earth. And that in the goodness of time, all peoples will come to live together in a peace guaranteed